Okay, so quorum has been established. Although they just came out, yesterday, I guess it was. Um, any question on the minutes from last meeting? Tom and Lindsay are both on mute, but are things okay?
Yeah, everything looked good to me.
Good by me.
All right, so do I hear a motion to accept?
I move to accept the minutes.
Need a second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye. Roll
Gotta-
call, please.
Gotta do a roll
Aye.
call. So Tom,
Yes, aye.
Lindsay,
Aye.
I'm an aye.
Aye.
Aye. So moved, they are accepted. Item number 4 on the agenda was the work that Sue Hatch and Tom Tudor put together, 4 pages of potential, and I say potential because they're not on the open market, but potential rentals, at least on a 9 or a 10-month basis that may be able to benefit the school. I have seen no feedback on that. Tom, have you gotten any?
No, I did communicate with Jennifer, and just as you implied there, this is just a potential housing. This is a process that we've done in the past when we've had new teachers come to the island. Sue, my wife, or someone else, in conjunction with a realtor, will find someplace that maybe has never been rented, but they would be willing to rent to a teacher. So that's been successful in the past, and I wondered if that same process might be workable on a larger scale. But it takes quite a bit of detective work. You have to start with a property. You have to then find out the landowner. You have to make personal contact with somebody and find out if there's a possibility that the property could be rented.
So, but Tom, if I'm not mistaken, that went to Jennifer, who's a member of this committee as well as on the school committee, also went to Connie Brown.
Yes, I sent it to both of them.
All right. I'll follow up with Jennifer to see if she's gotten any feedback on it, and Kate has a question.
Well, I just wanted to let you all know that we have decided that we are going to rent a house in Camden for the school year and move our kids to Camden. And I'm happy to talk about why. But we are also considering renting our house out. So if a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house of Island is of interest, then that will be an option for a teacher. I have told Kate, but I have not talked with anybody on the school board about this.
Okay.
So have you listed that with a realtor?
No, I did just let Ginny know 5 minutes ago, but we have not done anything to list it yet or anything formal.
And so what kind of a lease are you looking to?
It would be a school year lease.
A full school year, okay. You talked to Ginny, I would let Jennifer know. And I can let
I
her know.
can reply all to this email as well and
All right,
let her know that that's an option.
okay. So until we hear something back, I guess, from the school folks, I'm not sure what our next move on that would be. I mean, obviously, it's a great list. It's a excellent resource that can be pursued if the folks at the school feel that it's something that they need to pursue.
Yeah, this is incredible research.
Okay. Any questions, or can we move on to the next one? No, okay, so we'll move on. The next item is planning update. Just real quick, we usually talk about what IAP is doing here, and they have started some of the heavy equipment work on the next duplex duplex. And so doing the infrastructure work, which would be, heavy equipment, land move, foundation, septic, I can't remember whether they needed to do a new well or the well that was there would supply, both duplexes, but at least that's begun. And IAP has also started its, both its annual campaign as well as, an outreach on the capital requirements for, the duplexes. The other issue on planning is, as has been discussed, the select board approved and it went through the approval process at the town meeting. There is a housing line item, for 15.
I thought it was 10.
10.
Maybe it was 15.
I've heard 10 and 15.
I think it was 15
Right.
when I looked at the budget,
All right.
Okay,
even though it was initial, I thought, I thought they trimmed it, but maybe.
yeah, I thought it went in at 10 and got trimmed to 15, but neither here nor there. We have some time to, because it doesn't take effect until the fiscal year begins, but
July 1.
my, we need to put a couple of people on what, would we propose to use the money for? And then, once the committee agrees to it, then we should present that to the select board to make sure that it meets the select board requirements. So, do we have anybody, a couple of volunteers to take a look at that and, come up with some ideas? It's not a lot of money, but it does provide money to do some planning.
I'm curious, Michael, given the conversations that we had around the kind of planning we wanted to do with the Island Institute, with the grant that then was not an option, is there anything related to what we were proposing with them that we might want to explore?
I don't know, because the Island Institute piece of it had an interaction with IAP, whereas this does not. Although the work that the housing committee can do as well would go hand in hand with, and a lot of that was marketing. The IAP piece was probably more geared towards the property they had, which is this would not be used for. I mean, so when I think back through what we talked about, the only thing that comes to mind would be the marketing. I mean, how do you get the word out that what we want to do? But again, I think we need to come up with something. If the money is to be spent, it should be spent on something that at least the select board agrees with the housing committee, should be done. So I'm happy to work with somebody, but I think it needs more than just me putting it together.
As the initiator of this fund, I think the idea was that it would be unrestricted. And I do not believe, I can't speak for the whole select board, but I think anything that this committee felt would support both marketing, housing, families and workforce people interest in housing on Islesboro would be very welcome. And, you know, it was, in my view, the idea that the public sector ought to be supporting an effort to build more houses and attract more, a market for them, in support of IAP. So I don't think that there's a matter of coming up with a plan that the select board is gonna have any opinion about, except that it would be a good idea, in your view.
And I'm happy if they accept whatever we do, but I would like to have a consensus within the committee.
Oh,
And then I would like to, before we spend a penny, to present it, to the select board, just so that you know where the town money is
I
going.
think that'd be great. Why
Okay.
not? And
All right.
all, I'm just
So-
saying that I don't expect there to be much pushback.
Right,
Michael, I'm happy to work with you on that.
okay.
Anybody else too? I mean, could,
Yeah. Tom has disappeared as he promised he would. And Ginny and Lindsay, I'd like to get, if it's gonna be Kate and myself, at least one more person, at least to do the legwork on that. Can either one of you feel like volunteering?
I can help.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I will send out a note about how we can start this process, okay?
Yeah.
And again, it's fiscal 26, 27, so we've got a month to kind of throw something together and get agreement within ourselves as well as the select board.
Do you-
Okay.
do you feel like we need to have a proposal by the beginning of the fiscal year, or do you
No.
feel like it's okay if we are still working on the
So, yeah.
specifics? Okay,
It's just that the money is only good for
a year.
1 year, and so, and I mean, clearly, the sooner we do it, the better off we are, but no, if we had to go a little longer, that's not a big deal. Okay. All right, I just threw in a catch-all. I have a bunch of things called any other business, and I'll give you an update of what I've seen come by. One is, again, Island Institute. They still do not have, their housing coordinator hired, so nothing's happening there. And the meeting that was scheduled for last Thursday was canceled because they had nobody there. So, I talked to, somebody at Island Institute today, Sky, who is their energy guru, and she told me they're interviewing, so they do have people identified, and they're hoping to do it pretty soon. I had a couple of conversations with some folks from Shabig who are exploring putting together a housing committee there. They are year-round population is a little less than we have. I think there are about 450 is what I was told, although their seasonal population, from the number that I got was a little bit larger than ours. So they grow a little bit more in the summer. The model that they are looking at, is a build and sell model. They do not want to either have the town own and rent housing, and they do not want to develop another nonprofit to build, rent, and manage. So they're looking at raising money to, again, build and sell. They would like to build with a workforce-based price, but they would not put at least when I talked to them, they were not looking at putting any covenants into the sales document to keep it on a less or on a more affordable basis. So effectively, first person in would get the benefit of a workforce housing pricing model. But from that point on, it would be driven by market, which was an interesting
I'm so curious.
way to do it. Well, they don't want ongoing management issues.
But even no covenants around either affordability or say that it has to go to someone who works year round and lives year round?
It's a year round, well, first person through has to be a year round resident. However, unless you put a covenant, which they indicated they didn't, you could sell it to somebody who's only gonna turn it into a summer home, which is totally against what they're trying to do.
Yeah,
They have the same issue that we have relative to housing for year-round residents, so. but they were very clear that they did not want to have the ongoing management issue of the housing stock. And they didn't want another, nonprofit getting involved in managing it. So, they're not getting very far with it, and they have on a building issue, the same set of issues that we have relative to cost of building and, attracting people. From a school percent point of view, they only have, I want to say 1 through 5. I'm not sure if it's K through 5. It might be K through 5, but if 5th grade is it, and 6th grade on, they go to the mainland for school. I think it's the mainland, but, so they, as much as we do, want students, to be at their school. So, we did talk about, is there a way to, for islands to coordinate? And this has been a subject that has come up with Island Institute. Islands coordinating. The problem is that when you do get it, and there have been developers who've been invited to Island Institute housing meetings and, coordinating, if you would, a contract for 6, 8 houses among various islands does not excite them. The developers that I have talked to as part of that have all indicated that they want 5 or 6 minimum, hopefully more. And they'd like them all in the same place, and they would like a contract to develop the entire parcel. So, I'm not sure that coordinating amongst the islands is gonna get anybody anything, at least from what the developers said.
Michael, in your conversations, have you felt like the water and sewer barriers to density that we face, which prohibits larger projects, even when we do have larger parcels, is that an issue that other islands face as well?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, a lot of building code issues arise, whether it's water, electricity. Yeah, I mean, so the smaller the island, the tougher it is. So if you let go to, I think it's Monhegan, they're generating their own electricity, but because they can't bring fuel over. So, the other issues are, heating. Because they have electricity issues, a lot of people rely on, wood stoves. But once you put a wood stove in, their insurance rates go through the roof. And so, the smaller the island, the tougher it is. There are, and you did some research on this, Tom did research a year ago. There are waste management systems that are coming more to the forefront that are less expensive and smaller than, so here on the island, if you think about the typical septic tank and leach field process that we have here, where it's could be $30,000, $40,000 to put a system in. With some of the pre-processing tanks that they have, which are much smaller, you can get that price almost cut in half. So that's something people are looking at. I haven't seen any indication from anybody that there's widespread implementation, but there are things out there that do that. For more money, you can actually put in a system that you can put in a crawl space in a house. I mean, it has to be a sizable crawl space, but those are much more expensive than it is for doing some of these pre-processing systems. So, and the answer kind of comes down to, every time you talk about one of these potential options, it just leads to more questions and more questions. So I haven't seen any solutions come out of that. I think the pre-processing solution does exist. but can you get somebody to do that? And I don't know the answer to that.
Sorry, I'm just thinking about different things we might spend money on. And I'm curious too about, if other islands are, yeah. Given the responses to our survey that people don't want to move here. I'm wondering if we want to be thinking about recruitment style housing, housing for people that would come and, or is it that we're trying to find ways to provide more affordable and better housing for people who are here and underhoused?
Yeah, that's a combination. I think both are needed. I mean, we definitely know that we have trades that we want people to come to the island. And so can you put a plan together that recruits? I had a conversation with somebody yesterday, on the ferry line, who was having water pump problems and couldn't find anybody. Couldn't even find a plumber to come out. So, I mean, we do have one plumber, we have a couple of, at least one electrician on the island that I know about, but yeah, I mean, we probably need more. We need, I mean, one I hear all the time is, auto mechanic, an auto shop. I mean, I think we have places, but I don't know, are they affordable? So, but it is certainly something worth exploring and identifying what we would need to do as a community to entice that. I mean, I would hope that the select board would be behind that kind of a look. We do know we have underhoused people. The last set of IAP applications came in where we had 4 or 5 times the number of applicants that there were spaces to fill. And I suspect that all of those are probably still there. And that if the next duplex comes online, we're gonna have a lot more, and so, how do you answer both questions? And I think both questions do need to be answered. You need workforce as well as you need viable housing for people who live here year round. So I can ask all the questions, I just can't give you the answers. So yes, I do believe that's a good thing to look at as part of it. The other item that we did talk about, which we haven't gotten to yet, and Kate and I talked about this just as the meeting was starting, which was to gather all of the data from the housing survey and formalize it and publish it to, first to the select board and then determine where it goes from there. I mean, once we get it and we understand everything, sure we'll get a lot of advice as to, because I do believe that the community as a whole who input to it, deserve to see what was said. And I also think, that the lack of interest in non-island residents in filling out a survey is, so we have none of that, we have no data, and I do believe that in itself is data that has to be dealt with. So those are the items on my list. Anybody have any other items that they want to put on the table? Okay. Any comments from visitors? If there are none, make me an easy night. When do we want to meet next? This time last year, we went to 2 months rather than do it in July. We went, I believe, till August. What
Do you? I'm open to waiting until August.
Okay. Ginny, Lindsay, any input, feedback on next meeting?
August is probably better for me. I get pretty busy in July.
Okay,
Yes, agreed. August sounds great.
okay. All right, so we will set it for August. What you got on the,
The first week of August looks wide open at this moment.
what, oh. We were typically a Tuesday meeting, if I recall correctly, right?
You kind of go back and forth
Or
between
Tuesday.
Tuesday and Thursday.
So let me throw out, Tuesday the 4th. Does that work?
That works for me.
Okay.
That
Ginny?
works.
Kate says yes, I say yes. Ginny, does that work for you?
Yeah, I'll try to make it work.
Okay. 8/4 at 5 p.m. Peter, that work for you?
That's fine.
Okay. Okay. Again, if anybody has anything else they want to put on the table? If not, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So curious, we have a guest.
Hmm?
We have a guest.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't want to adjourn, we can ask them.
I motion.
Second.
Okay. I say I roll call. Lindsay,
Aye.
Jenny,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
and I'm an I. So we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks.